On the farmlands of the American South, massive wild hog populations continue to expand, tearing up field after field and posing a direct threat to the rice harvest. The very livelihood of countless families. Annual damages have surpassed millions of dollars, forcing authorities to declare a state of red alert. The Special Hog Control Unit has been activated. We didn't just receive a mission, we accepted an oath to protect every grain of rice, every inch of soil, and the hope of the people whose lives depend on these fields from the relentless destruction of these invasive beasts. As the first rays of sunlight broke through, we climbed onto the Toyota Tacoma, a rugged machine built to tear across any rough terrain ahead. When we arrived at the hotspot, a massive shadow suddenly burst out, fast and ferocious. Jay stayed calm, guiding every movement with such precision that all I had to do was tighten my grip on the stock and pull the trigger. The first shot cracked through the air, clean and decisive. It was a powerful warning to the destroyers of these fields. Today, we're here to put an end to the devastation without yielding an inch. Our team split in three directions, applying the funnel squeeze tactic, forcing the targets toward an open gap ahead, right where I had a perfect line of sight. And there they were. A burst of shots rang out, dropping the biggest lead hogs, the commanders of the herd. But wild hogs aren't foolish. They kicked into high gear, using every gap in the terrain to carve a path to escape. Even so, we always follow local hunting laws to the letter, only taking the shot when it's safe and within legal limits. That's how we move forward, powerful but responsible, protecting the crops without ever compromising anyone's safety. Wasting no time, the team charged across the fields, working seamlessly with the hunting dogs to continue the push-pressure lock tactic. Within minutes, the targets were cornered. The distance closed to the perfect range, allowing for a flawless, precise shot. That coordination, silent, disciplined, and perfectly in sync, enabled us to take down more targets while still maintaining peace across the farmland. At the edge of the field, Jay held his ground, waiting patiently for the prey to step right into the preset ambush. And then, just as predicted, a familiar dark shape emerged, blending into the low grass. The first shots rang out from my position, immediately followed by Kevin's fire, creating a decisive rhythm of attack. Within seconds, the trap was complete. Everything unfolded perfectly. No gaps, no mistakes. What do you think of that takedown? Drop your comment below. At Kevin's position, the so-called fortress protecting the area, a jet black wild hog suddenly charged out. But this time, it had no chance. Kevin and the hunting dogs had every escape route locked down. The battlefield was controlled almost perfectly. Once again, his position proved that with just one steadfast, calm, and courageous person, the entire team behind him can stay completely safe. As dusk fell, we could have headed home before any more dangers appeared. But for the crops, for the thousands of rice bags about to be harvested, we couldn't stop. A shadow finally flickered at the edge of the field. Each shot was a statement. Not a single hog would be allowed to destroy even one more square meter of land. Do you agree with the way we handled it? If so, hit subscribe now so you don't miss the next action-packed moment. By the end of the day, a total of 50 threats had been eliminated. Locals could finally sleep easy. Thanks to the support and permits from the authorities, this operation was a success and restored safety to the community. Still, we know there are other shadows lurking. And when the time comes, the special hunting team will be back on the move. In the past few weeks, the pine forests surrounding the village have been filled with loud roars. The ground and rocks turned over. Trees snapped in half. It wasn't due to storms, but the traces of a wild boar herd encroaching on our territory. They didn't just destroy crops, they also attacked livestock, sending the villagers into a panic, too afraid to even step into the forest. Unable to stand by and watch any longer, we received the order and immediately set out to protect the village. Weapons were ready, traps set, and our resolve unshakable. In that dark pine forest, the predators would now face hunters with no other choice but to fight back. Come along and join us. The wild boars followed the familiar trails, and that was the one weakness that hunters like us were waiting for. Lying still in the midday sun, I watched the boar's every movement. As it charged out, a shot rang out, ending the destruction it had caused. That moment was not just about hitting the target, it was the result of patience, observation, and decisiveness. The value lies in controlling the situation, protecting the crops, and respecting the natural law. Opportunities must be seized, and consequences must be stopped. After hours of ambush, I had just managed to lie down in a small shooting hut at the edge of the forest, with sunlight streaming through the cracks. The calm moment hadn't even fully settled in when I noticed a herd of boars moving from the forest edge to an open field in front of me. They charged forward, tearing up the dry grass. From the hut, I aimed and fired, hitting the lead boar. They panicked and scattered. I fired more shots, the loud crack signaling that the destructive herd had been pushed back and the crops were safe. By noon, I spotted another boar following the familiar trail. Unaware of its surroundings, it was walking along a path we had already been watching. When it paused to check its surroundings, I took aim and squeezed the trigger. The target was under control. Hunting wild boars isn't just about reflexes or shooting skills. The most important thing is understanding their habits, choosing the right position, waiting for the golden moment, and acting decisively. Sitting on a hill, I observed the open field below. Two wild boars appeared. They were unaware they were being watched. In just a few seconds, each step, each leap they made revealed their old habits. Sitting still and quietly, I learned how they moved, how they chose their paths, and how they reacted to the surrounding environment. Without hesitation, I aimed and squeezed the trigger. The bullet flew straight, precise, and decisive. Habits are the key. Once you observe enough, you know when the opportunity will come without needing to act immediately. If you think this shot was cool, don't forget to hit like. As the sun began to set, a lone wild boar appeared, straggling behind the herd, stumbling awkwardly. I remained calm and squeezed the trigger when the golden moment arrived. The bullet flew immediately. Everything happened exactly as it should, without a single mistake. The true skill of a hunter lies not in strength, but in composure, the ability to read habits and to exploit them in those decisive seconds. Late in the afternoon, just when I thought the ambush had ended, I unexpectedly spotted the prey in the ambush zone. I quickly and decisively squeezed the trigger. The bullet left the barrel, heading straight for the target, ending the tense pursuit. If you're not an experienced hunter, never try to face them alone. At that point, you'll become the prey. A cunning alpha boar had been terrorizing the local farmers. After multiple failed attempts, our hunting team was called in to solve the problem in a single day. Everything was ready: guns, equipment, and a solid hunting plan. Would we succeed and return safely? Let's follow the action. It was a cold morning in Texas, and we ventured deep into the forest, hoping to find the alpha boar. The pressure weighed heavily. It was notorious for its cunning, having escaped all traps before. Suddenly, a massive shadow moved ahead, bursting out from the brush like a whirlwind. Could I react in time? The bullet struck true. To be certain, I squeezed the trigger again, successfully ending the threat. A perfect opening shot, signaling that the showdown with the ultimate target had begun. The challenging hunt was underway. The earlier victory was just a prelude, and I knew the main target was still out there. We moved deeper into the forest. All around, rifle shots echoed, my teammates performing admirably. The villagers would be thrilled. Suddenly, rustling hooves approached. An entire herd of wild boars appeared. There they are, each one crossing an open space. I squeezed the trigger, taking them down cleanly. Amid the chaos, the nerves of steel and lightning reflexes of a seasoned hunter prevailed. While others formed a circle to herd the animals, I took a fixed ambush position in the forest, waiting for prey driven past by the dogs. They're coming! Of course, a few cunning ones escaped, but no worries. Their path led straight to Blake, my teammate lying in wait. This is how we hunt, not just with guns, but with brains, committed to protecting the villagers' lives from the marauding beasts. Blake received the alert as he caught the familiar scent nearby. Silently, he moved through the dense foliage, seeking the prey. It couldn't be far. Could this legendary sniper maintain his reputation? He fired as the target fully emerged, a bullet striking the vital spot. One shot, one kill. That's why Blake always gets the final takedown. While Blake was the final shooter, Mike served as an impenetrable defensive wall. Positioned at the only escape route, he was ready as the boars, driven by hunting dogs, charged straight toward him. From behind, the cacophony of barking signaled the prey's approach. Here they come! If they wanted to escape, they had to go through Mike's sights first. Mike's firepower had tightened the encirclement, but the alpha beast remained elusive. In the afternoon, a radio call from the scouting team announced the alpha had been spotted. Herded down the southern slope. This was the moment we had been waiting for all day. Without hesitation, Mike and I moved through the forest to intercept it. Seeing the massive silhouette, I fired immediately, ending the legend of the unbeatable monster. We did it! Incredible! Tonight, the local farmers could finally sleep peacefully. This land, this year's crops, were safe. We loaded our spoils onto the Toyota Land Cruiser, ready to return. Imagining the villagers' grateful smiles, I felt proud of the path I had chosen. The forest lay blanketed in snow, harsh and unforgiving, yet our mission to hunt wild hogs began, driven by necessity, not trophies. We weren't hunting for sport, we were hunting to survive. The herd had been rampaging through the village's scarce food stores, threatening the community's very survival through the winter. Our team stepped carefully into the snowy woods, every footfall heavy, carrying the weight of protecting both life and livelihood. Rifles loaded, resolve steel strong, we braced ourselves against both the cold and the ferocious threat. The battle for survival had officially begun, with snow falling thick around us. Don't take your eyes off the screen. The action is about to get intense. Recognizing the urgency, the team immediately deployed a tactical patrol to break up the herd along pre-marked paths. Minutes later, we came face to face with the wild hogs. Without hesitation, I squeezed the trigger and took down a massive boar instantly. That single shot shattered their formation, sending the remaining pigs fleeing across the snow. Plan B was activated immediately. The team swiftly shifted to hunting lone targets, neutralizing the threat one by one. The hunt was heating up like never before. Snowfall intensified, obscuring visibility and making patrols more dangerous. We moved with extra caution. Just then, a teammate came face to face with a large herd crossing the forest trail. Survival instincts kicked in. He fired immediately, dropping one hog. Even with limited sight, this lightning-quick strike reduced the threat moving swiftly through the forest. The weather grew harsher, biting winds and heavy snow, but we pressed on carefully, patiently navigating the terrain. Our persistence paid off. A target appeared among the snow-covered trees. I seized the moment, held my breath, and squeezed the trigger. One perfect shot, hog neutralized. This victory reaffirmed the skill, precision, and professionalism of our team under the harshest winter conditions. No time to rest after the previous shot. Another familiar shadow emerged from the snowy distance. Alex, my teammate, waited patiently, following the cardinal rule, never shoot hastily. Once the hog was fully exposed and unaware, he pulled the trigger decisively. Accuracy and patience yielded total elimination of the threat. Tracking the herd's movement, I quickly positioned myself for an ambush. Despite the freezing cold, I stayed patient. The heavy thuds of the hog's footsteps in the snow grew closer. I breathed deeply, regaining full calm. When the herd charged, I fired with precision, one shot after another, reloading seamlessly. Each hog was handled calmly but efficiently, speed and accuracy delivering absolute victory for the team. We climbed into the 2025 Ranger, ready to return along the snow-covered trail. Suddenly, rustling from the roadside caught our attention. No hesitation. Alex, ever sharp and reflexive, leapt from the vehicle. With that decisive action, our winter hunt concluded safely and completely. Relief washed over us as we made our way back to the village. Harsh conditions or not, the team had done their duty. Winter peace had been restored. But we remain ready for any threat, no matter how small. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Every step of our hunt follows U.S. hunting regulations. The forest awakens in the morning mist. Every path is lined with traps, and the farmers stand silent, their eyes full of worry. Wild boars don't just destroy the crops, they're a constant threat. Even with the traps set, those cunning beasts always find a way to slip through. That's when we are called in, to stop the invaders before they strike again. This is not just a battle between man and beast, it's a never-ending struggle between humans and the wild. As the sun climbs higher, our team gears up for the challenge ahead. In the quiet woods, the hounds finally break the silence. The chase is on. I move closer, steady, every sense sharpened. The dark silhouette is soon cornered by our skilled hunting dogs. I wait for the perfect moment. No rush, no mistakes. Then, with a steady breath, I pull the trigger. A clean headshot. The beast collapses instantly. That victory fuels our spirit. Before long, another massive shadow moves through the underbrush. I stalk carefully, silent, precise. At the perfect range, I stop. No hesitation. One sharp crack echoes through the woods, and the boar drops among the dry leaves. We press deeper into the dense jungle. Every sound, every scent could mean another target. The musky odor of wild boar fills the air. I tighten my grip, ready for whatever comes. It charges out of nowhere, fierce and wild. Gunfire roars back, each shot deliberate, unflinching. It falls, and I realize just how close I was to danger. Minutes later, my four-legged partner catches the scent. His bark turns sharp, urgent. The pack closes in, surrounding the prey. Thanks to their coordination, I can finish the job cleanly. In this dense forest, every shadow could hide a beast. Without these powerful dogs, finding the boars would be nearly impossible, and surviving, even harder. Thomas signals from afar. Following the familiar barks, I spot the massive silhouette moving under the canopy. Everything slows down. The aim, the breath, the trigger. Bang! The shot lands perfectly. Target down in seconds. After hours of tense pursuit, the sunlight fades. We hurry to leave before darkness takes over, but the shadows move again. The hunt isn't quite done. The dogs spring into action, locking the final target in place. One last shot rings out, closing today's chapter in the wild. Just after dawn, a frantic scream rang out from a house near the forest edge, shattering the morning calm. A massive wild boar had stormed straight into the yard, crashing through the fence and flipping over the feed barrels. Dirt and debris flew everywhere. The beast was so fierce that no one dared get close. We arrived quickly, scanning for tracks and piecing together the trail. The goal was clear: take down this boar, or the whole herd, before it returned to cause more damage. The hunt was on, and this time there was no room for mistakes. As we moved toward the tree line behind the village, a rumble broke out ahead. A full herd of wild boars burst from the undergrowth, kicking up a storm of dust. No time to hesitate. I signaled my teammates to hold their ground, took a steady aim, and fired the first shot. One boar stumbled and dropped. A few more went down under my teammates' gunfire, while the rest scattered deep into the woods. An opening like that, completely unexpected. This hunt was shaping up to be far more intense than we imagined. After the main herd split, we decided to break into smaller units and follow the fresh tracks pressed deep into the soil. Not far away, a lone boar had strayed from the group, moving cautiously along a narrow trail. My partner and I crept in quietly, taking the downwind side to avoid detection. The moment the boar stepped out from behind the brush, I lined up the sights and squeezed the trigger. A clean, precise shot. Smooth, efficient, flawless. While we were sweeping another patch of ground, a faint rustle echoed from the slope to our right. There, a massive dark shape hiding behind a stand of dead trees, thinking it was safe. Too bad for him, I'd already spotted it. When the boar made its move, I fired. The first bullet struck its side. It staggered, but kept running. Not this time. The second shot hit home, and the beast went down hard. No running from that one. As the animal fell, the team quickly scanned the perimeter to make sure no tracks were left unchecked. We moved along the slope, where the soil was still soft with fresh prints. Then, out of nowhere, another boar dashed across my teammate's sights. Instead of rushing the shot, he pivoted left, adjusted for a clean angle. Boom! One shot, right on target. Sometimes, being off by a heartbeat means letting the trophy slip away. The sun dipped low, its golden light filtering through the leaves, carrying with it that familiar scent. Wild boar still lingered nearby. We switched tactics, created soft noise from the opposite side to lure them in. It worked. A big boar turned its head toward the sound, moving right into our zone. I steadied my aim and took the shot as it hesitated. A little bit of cunning, at just the right time, can yield incredible results. The team was running on fumes by now. The captain signaled for one final sweep before calling it a day. That's when a faint rustling froze us in place, the last boar trying to slip away unnoticed. The captain moved fast, positioning himself perfectly, steadying his breath, gauging the distance. and fired as the animal shifted direction. The hunt ended cleanly. One final perfect shot.